I think I think depression sort of like saved my life. And like I'm not saying the worst times were the best times, but I needed it. Like I needed everything to happen how it happened for me to overcome it. I think every challenge I experienced basically put me in a position to analyze and judge my patterns. So like today, my mom gave me an old envelope and inside of it were pictures of the day I graduated high school. And I was looking at these pictures and I was looking at it so awkwardly. I was like, what? And the first thing I asked her, why why am I not smiling in any of these pictures? Like this is the day I graduated. And she's like, you never smiled. You were always miserable back then. Pretty blunt, but there is some truth there. I always smile in my pictures now, even when I'm going through my low points, and even as an adult, right? I always smiled. But when I was in middle school and high school, that time period, I was very angry and frustrated with people, just life in general. And then that was my outward emotion of my depression, right? I had some sadness in there, but like the way I expressed it was through anger and, having a very short fuse. And when I became an adult and experienced hitting zero again, uh, or depression, whatever, I was just sad more than anything because I felt inadequate or I struggled with my self image and valuing myself. But there becomes a certain point when you're at zero or deep in depression for like an extended period of time where you end up running out of people or things to blame. It gets exhausting telling the same story about how someone or something disappointed you, hurt you, disregarded you, made your life challenging and so forth. You get tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Like the villain is not the villain anymore. I mean, they were the villain, or maybe still are the villain technically, but the fact that my whole story keeps revolving around this and these villains is just like, I just, that's what happened with me. I was like depressed for like a long time. I was like, I'm tired of blaming people or situations because I noticed that when I kept trying to chase this villain, right? I kept trying, there's a villain, you want to destroy the villain, right? I kept trying to chase the villain. I kept trying to expect a change of heart or an apology. Oftentimes, well, I gotta say 95% of the time, I never got one. It's an ego issue. You expect apologies out of people or people to have a change of heart, and you expect apologies out of people who don't feel sorry for what they did or what they do. In their mind, they're justified for what they did or what they're doing right now. Just like in your mind, you feel justified for an apology or a change of heart. Both of you are entitled. And letting your ego demand certain things, and when you do that, you got to accept you guys are just splitting like oil and water. That's the thing. It really is oil and water. You separate, but you keep attaching to the outcome that isn't reasonable right now. Got to accept coexistence. You have to accept that whatever hurt you or upset you isn't going to apologize or flip a switch and everything is going to satisfy your ego and your personal desires or what you want in life. You know what I'm saying? Like people think this is not possible for some reason, what I'm about to say, which I think is very questionable. But believe it or not, I also think some people are just not aware of this, by the way. You can have a huge ego and still be depressed. You could be sad. You could like, oh, I'm sorry, you have self-image issues. But your ego is like out of this world. But the ego is so fragile, right? So since the ego is so fragile, that's what makes your depression worse. Because like, if you didn't let your ego get so big, maybe you wouldn't be so sensitive to where everything is like piling onto your depression, where everything isn't hurting you as much, where everything isn't taken so personally. And I say that in my videos, right? Sometimes I say like, try your best to not take things personally, because usually what someone does to you is a reflection of what's going on inside them, which is why I said you're not going to get an apology from people. Obviously, this is vice versa too. What you do to people is a reflection of what's going on inside of you, good or bad. But this is how it all comes together. You start to realize most of the time, the villain is yourself. Every obstacle, challenge, or frustrating moment or time period you're going through needs to be approached from a refactored way. Meaning, instead of suppression, try integration. Depression starts within you and can end within you. But if you treat it like an external enemy, hence my villain analogy, you're always going to end up returning back to hitting zero. Like, you're going to keep getting depressed, even if the villain is gone or no longer in your life, right? Because what's going to happen, right? Let's say someone made you sad, right? Let's say someone ended up being the catalyst to put you in your depression, right? Let's say this person is not around anymore or something, all right? Or, they're just not in your life, or you got over it, right? Well, what is life going to do to you? They're going to bring another person or another thing, it doesn't have to be a person, into your life that's going to be the villain. And now you're going to be miserable again. And this is how you end up in this cycle where you keep getting depressed. And then you think everything's better now, and then something else happens. Now you're back into it. You know what I'm saying? This is what happens to people. But the way I look at it now, and why I said depression saved my life, is because I started to look at my depression as a sign that there were things going on with my past, my emotions, my mental state that I never wanted to accept to be true. For example, heartbreak is a very easy one, right? I knew I had attachment issues. I still do, honestly. But when I was experiencing any form of heartbreak, not just romantically, by the way, but like losing a friend or whatever, right? Or like someone betrayed me. So my heart is broken, not like romantically, just heartbreak. I took it so personal instead of accepting the truth. What was the truth, Aku? Well, the truth was this. It's over. That's it. It's that blunt and simple. That's the truth. It's over. This person and I are no longer a thing. And here we go again with this oil and water analogy or metaphor I keep making, right? I tried to make them come back. Or maybe we could work this out, right? Or, I would attach to them being the villain. Or they would attach to me being the villain. That I just never accepted the truth. We're oil and water. It's over. Remember I said earlier in this video, try not to take things personally, right? Well, that's another problem with resistance and how it worsened my depression or kept me in it. When I would take something personal, I would associate it with my value, my self-worth. Going through depression helped me stop being so deeply sensitive all the time over things now. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm still sensitive to an extent, obviously, right? But to where it doesn't do it to me anymore, to where like it would throw me off so much where I would lose faith in my own identity, my own self. Like, it doesn't spiral me anymore. You get what I'm saying? And as I said, I got tired. I got exhausted. I'm tired, dude. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of casting the villain role on people or things that happen in my life. What about me? What about the ownership part? What did I do? How did I even get myself in this situation? Okay, let's start with that. Okay, so are they really the villain when I'm so stupid I put myself in there? But I'm gonna call this person the villain? Oh, I didn't take care of something. I wasn't being responsible, but because certain things are going on in society or this situation, bro, I wasn't prepared. They're the villain, or maybe I should have been prepared. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this, dude. I can't do that anymore. And it just bothered me so much that I was like, you know what? I'm done with that, man. I can't. And, here's the thing too. When I made people the villain or I made situations the villain, right? It made me resentful. And it kept me at zero because I was so mad at somebody, right? Or I was so sad that somebody did something to me, like, oh, they hurt me or something. Like, now I'm just going to stay here and just be mad and sad. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's life. I wanted to be the villain. I wanted them not to be the villain anymore. At the same time, you know what I'm saying? And I learned to stop trying to force a workaround for something that isn't fundamentally compatible. Look, we just don't work. This thing in me, this thing in I rather, it's just, right now, it's just not going to work. Trying to force it to work is not helpful. This basically helped resolve my depression because I stopped feeding into certain things and noticed that everything I mentioned, I had a part in. Not every single thing. Look, like sometimes a villain will come into your life without your control, right? This can be a person or anything in life, right? Sometimes you have no control over it. People will make your life difficult, or certain things will make your life difficult, challenging, and so forth, right? But although this is difficult, you have the ability to ask yourself this: how am I choosing to relate to this? While I can't control someone else's malicious behavior, incompetence, or toxicity, what is the narrative that I'm allowing to run in my head? And this goes back to the integration rather than the suppression. And trying to reframe and refactor it, the narrative, it takes a long time to do. You know, you're not just gonna be like, for real, this isn't me saying like, yo, just think positive, bro, and you'll be fixed. Boom. No, that's not the bruh. No, it's this thing. This is a process. It's a constant rewiring that you need to be very consistent with. It's very, very, very difficult. And yo, try not to be hard on yourself for it taking too long or you're not seeing anything. Some people are so precognitively built with this, like it takes them longer to look. You heard what I said. I went through middle school, high school, and my early and mid 20s going through this stuff. It took me over 10 years to finally find myself in a place where, like, you know, I'm genuinely happy with myself, with life. I'm just happy. I'm glad everything is working out the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm glad I went through everything. I'm glad this, and now I'm even to the point I'm even saying depression saved my life. Like, for real, because look, once you start going through this process, though, you're starting to see progress where you're letting yourself sort of reframe the narrative that's going on in your head for something more like as a learning experience or something not positive, just as a learning experience. It starts to enter autopilot mode, and then it builds into your subconscious, and then that's when it starts reflecting into your behaviors as well, or how you react to certain things. Anyway, I just wanted to share. Let me know how you guys feel down below. I love you guys. I'm out.